Hello again YouTube, Mad Dog here, welcome back to my channel. So tonight's little video is going to be hopefully a little bit of help for one of my subscribers. Chris Choo, a friend and subscriber of mine, has recently been experimenting with flint and iron, the traditional flint and iron firelighting method, and he's been using natural kapok, the seed pod there from the kapok tree, to try and establish a flint and steel fire. So I'm going to cut now to the bench and show you some of the problems that he's been having and try and explain as best as I can simplistically the reasons why he's having trouble. So stay tuned, stay with me. Okay, so my mate Chris has been saying that he's brought some kapok, or he has some kapok, natural kapok, and his issue or problem is that he can light it no problem with a ferrocerium rod. It bursts into flames, happy days. But he can't, no matter what he does, blow it to flame, having established an ember from some char cloth using the flint and iron method. He can't blow it to flame. Well, I'm going to try and explain briefly, as best as I can, simplistically, why and where we're going wrong with that. So, to start with, I'm going to cut it into two sections: the actual ignition sources, the ferrocerium rod and the flint and steel, and the actual tinder itself. And to do that, I'm going to demonstrate by, I'm just going to pull a bit of the kapok out, split it into two roughly equal amounts with no prior messing about there on the tray. And to start with, I'm going to bring on a simple flint and iron kit, bit of flint, high carbon steel striker, piece of char cloth, and let's experiment, and I'll show you what I believe is happening here. So we'll try and get an ember established on our char cloth. There we go, we've got a couple on the go there. Hopefully that'll pick up. I'm going to transfer that into the kapok. And try and blow it to flame. Now obviously I'm not able to do that. So no matter how I try as I may, all I'm doing is creating more embers, a big red glowing cherry, and the kapok isn't bursting into flames. So I'm just going to throw this outside of the shed, do excuse me. Okay, so that's the flint and iron issue with kapok as a tinder. Now I'm going to explain why. So kapok, as we all know, is a natural material from the kapok tree. It's a seed pod, the insulation from within a seed pod. Now kapok has a ignition flash point of approximately 1200 degrees C. Now the flint and iron, when you use a piece of flint, quartz or chert, whatever hard stone you're using, to shave off fine particles of steel from your high carbon striker, like we do, those sparks are generally around 800 degrees, in that vicinity, in that ballpark, do excuse me. So therefore being a lot cooler than the ignition flash point required to ignite kapok. That being said, kapok won't ignite via flint and steel because like I've just said, the sparks are too cool. It will, however, start to glow and burn as an ember. So whilst you will not be able to blow kapok to flame directly using flint and steel. What happens is that ember that you've created from your char cloth is now extended. You are extending the size of that cherry, that ember. Therefore, when you put this into a bird's nest, whether it be something like my Mad Dog dupe netting, or a proper, or a proper natural bird's nest that you've gathered and made. This bird's nest that I've made here, I've just simply made from the outer layers of pine bark, you know, that I've just scrunched up, like I've shown in many videos before, and extracted the fibres from. Makes great bird's nest material, that does. Once you've then established your flint and iron ember, and transferred your small piece of char cloth into your kapok, which has extended the size of that coal, that then goes in that natural material, which you can then blow to flame, transferring the heat into this material because it has a lower flash point, so therefore it will burst into flames. Just let me remove this a moment. So my mate Chris was saying that with a ferrocerium rod, the kapok, you know, it bursts straight into flames. Well, yes, because the sparks emitted, or the material that we remove on a ferrocerium rod, the actual material that you can see rolling away there, burns at approximately 2000 to 3000 degrees in temperature, so therefore exceeding the kapok's natural instant flash point. That's why it bursts straight into flames using a ferro rod and not with flint and iron. So for me personally, to get the best out of kapok, you can either use it as a flash tinder like so, or as hopefully you can now see, that's a great coal extender to put into something like, you know, a jute twine bird's nest. So let me demonstrate. I mean, put that one out a moment, he says. Just put that in the water down there. So okay, we'll start from the beginning. So flint and iron, piece of char cloth. Another little tip at this point is I see a lot of people on YouTube that take the smallest amount of char cloth and they ignite it, and they use that small piece of char cloth directly into their great big bird's nest, or their whatever substance they're going to blow to flame. And for me, that's a mistake. You need to transfer as much heat as you can. So what I like to do is, once that initial spark or ember has been established, is get plenty more char cloth or charred material, punk wood, charred netting, whatever you choose, transfer it into that. That becomes a much bigger, much hotter coal, for the reason that when you transfer that into your bird's nest and blow it to flame, sometimes if your char cloth is too small, by the time it has engulfed the temperature enough into that material to combust, the char cloth's burnt out, if that makes sense. So I could blow that to flame now, no problem. However, assuming that's a small piece of char cloth, I can then bring on some more kapok, put the burning char cloth into the kapok, and again I'm extending that coal into even more surface area, more temperature. There we go. So the coal is now being transferred into the kapok, which then I can turn into my bird's nest. And blow to flame. Wowzer, it's smoky in here. So I hope that makes sense. It's all about flash points. I'll just throw this out the shed because I'm getting right smoked out. Do excuse me again. I think I threw my flint and iron out there as well. So for me it's all about knowing your tinders and knowing your ignition sources. So whilst kapok is a fantastic flash tinder, personally I don't recommend it at all with flint and steel because it has too much of a high flash point to be blown to flame using that method. That's why you're struggling, mates, in my opinion. By all means use kapok in conjunction with flint and steel, as I've explained, as an ember extender to give you more time, more heat transfer into your bird's nest, by all means. But for me, kapok isn't the best tinder to use with low temperature ignition sources such as flint and steel, and in some cases low magnification solar, solar magnification ignition methods. I would pretty much stick to using a ferrocerium rod or lighter or matches for kapok. Otherwise use it as a, like I've said, a coal extender. So I hope this sort of explains and helps the reasons why you're not succeeding in blowing kapok to flame using flint and steel, but you are with ferrocerium rod. Two massively different ignition sources, and the kapok falls right in between the temperatures of both of those. So I hope that makes sense. Again, I'm sorry for everybody else, the redundancy for other people that already know this. Please forgive me, I'm just trying to help a friend out. Obviously he sounds like he's just starting off in this sort of thing, and hopefully he'll find some of this useful. So thank you all very much for watching, and I hope this helps, Chris, mate. Let me know in the comments below or email me privately again, not a problem at all, if this hasn't made sense, and we'll start again, we'll have another go. So take care everybody, have a great weekend, stay safe, and until next time, Mad Dog signing off. Yeah.